the year. And I am so excited that all of you have joined us. Number one, I'm so excited that all of you have entered. I can't thank you enough. I know you guys were getting my texts consistently, but thank you so much for being a part of this. I am going to ask you to make sure that you are muted. And that way you can listen to the judges talk about all the images that are going to come through. And one point of reminder is that if you want to communicate, please feel free to use our chat box. And you can comment in there. You can, everybody that's watching can actually talk amongst themselves there. But also, if you've entered and you would like you can choose one image out of everything that you've entered to be critiqued by the judges at the end. If you could put the name of the image that you'd like critique there. Joyce will go ahead and she'll collect them all so that we can go ahead and have a list of them towards the end so we don't take up everybody's time trying to locate them all. Okay. Judges, I am so thrilled that you're all here, and I apologize because I have not actually put together my bio on you guys. But I would love to start by introducing our jury chair, who is Lisa Dillon from Oregon. And please just give your degrees and just a brief little synopsis of what you photograph.
Sure. I am a master craftsman photographer, CPP, and I am in my 19th year of business. I photograph families, headshots, high school seniors.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The knowledge that we have with this panel is amazing. So I'm moving on to our friend Ella Carlson from Massachusetts.
Hello.
Hello, and just give them a synopsis of your degrees and just a little bit about you.
Okay, master photographer, master artist, CPP, fellow ASP fellowship and ASP educational associate degree are my credentials. And I have been known across the country lately for creating aliens.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true. And those aliens are very cute.
Thank you.
And our next judge is Kathleen Broderick. She is from Massachusetts as well. And we're so excited to have you here with us. And if you could just tell a little bit about yourself and your degrees.
Sure. I am a master craftsman CP. I'm located in Massachusetts, near Cape Cod, and I've been in business 20 years this year, and I largely photograph high school seniors, families, headshots, and dogs is my other favorite.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. And our last judge is Lisa Asp. For those of you who may not know, but Lisa does hail from Connecticut for a while back, but now she's in Minnesota. And she actually runs a very, very cool animal conference called AIM. So I'm going to let you tell everybody what your degrees are and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I lived in Connecticut for 11 years, so it's fun to see some familiar names in the chat room here. I am now in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been back in Minnesota where I grew up for 11 years. I am a master craftsman, master artist, CPP, and I run the Animal Image Makers Conference, and we have our own credentials as well. So I am an accredited animal photographer through that as well. And obviously pets are my thing. That's what I specialize in.
Excellent. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. We're going to get started. And Lisa, as the jury chair, you tell me when you want to go.
I think we can get started pretty quick. It would be great if everybody who's not judging would mute. There's a little background noise going on, so that would be awesome if that could happen. And I think we should just go ahead and get started. Do you want to set your screen share up?
It is already.
No, it's not.
It's not showing anything. It's showing.
No, I know. It didn't show the.
It's not showing the. Oh.
Do you see fine art, landscape, nature as the category?
I see
Nope.
it as the category, but I don't, but your screen share isn't showing an image.
No,
Correct.
it just has the header.
This is just the category header, and then I'll click on the,
No, it's not showing anything. It's showing printcompetition.com. So if you want Kevin to be able to see the images, you're going to need to click on
oh, that's strange. Hang
remote
on.
display or
You had it
scorekeeper.
earlier, but I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either. So hang on. Hang on, everybody. Sorry. This is my first time doing this. So
All good. You're doing great.
All good.
thank you. It's not my first go round with, all right. So I need, I'm assuming display one, right? The remote viewing display. That's the one that I want to share, correct?
Do you have multiple monitors?
I do.
So you want to choose the monitor that's showing whatever you want people to see.
And that would be the remote viewing display.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Okay. So Kevin, our first category is,
Fine art, landscape, nature. Our first image is hypnotic hues. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Oops.
81.
It had the wrong header thing on it. So we're actually an illustrative commercial. Number 2, snaking through.
so clarification, this is illustrative commercial. I apologize for that. That was-
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
'81.
The Three Amigos.
'81. We've got a trend.
You had a majority challenge on that.
Do we have somebody who would like to speak about this image, Lisa?
Sure, I would love to. I scored this image an 85, which is in the excellent category. I thought this was a very interesting image. The apples had so much impact for me. They just jumped right out. I think it's a very interesting story. I would love to hear what everybody else has to say, but yeah, it works for me.
Kathy.
I scored this image a 79 in the above average category. I really enjoy the creativity of it. I think the color palette is very interesting. What kept me from going higher is I feel like the table is a little bit tilted to the left, and that if that was straightened up, it would definitely not distract me to look down. And also perhaps the texture is a little bit heavy, a little bit of a distraction. So maybe toning that back a little bit would have brought my score a little higher.
Ella.
I scored this a 78. I'm really enjoying most of it. I think that I love the color harmony that's going on and the idea of the three apples, but we're getting lost on that right-hand apple that's gotten so dark and one side of it's turned black, so the light's not quite hitting it correctly. So it just kind of felt off balance in that way to me. So.
And I assigned this so we don't get a rebuttal. So let's go ahead and rescore. '79.
Escher lives.
78.
In the beginning was the Word.
75.
5 o'clock shadow.
77.
If the stones could talk.
76.
In the belly of the beast.
81.
I'll challenge that.
That Lisa?
Yes.
All right, take it away.
Yeah, I scored this an 85, which was in the excellent category. I think this is a very cool abstract piece that does have a lot of impact for me when it comes around. The quality of the black and white is really nice. It has an interesting story without being blatantly in your face. It's abstract, but yet it speaks to you.
Kathleen?
I scored this as 78 in the above average category. I really enjoy the composition, and it's almost like it's pulsating. It has a lot going on. I was a little bit, what took away from me was the sharpness and sharp grain in areas, but then right next to the same area being very soft, especially like in the bottom middle. It seemed to be areas were kind of blurry and mushy, and then there was sharp grain right next to it. So I was looking for an explanation for that, but overall I love the tones in it. The black and white palette, the range is very nice.
Ella?
I scored this an 80. I felt the same way about the punch, the impact that this had. It really drew me in. And then I also noticed the grain and the kind of unevenness of the tonality there, which kind of takes away from it. But I did end up in the merit range.
And rebuttal?
Yeah, it sounds like the biggest issue is with the grain. I feel like the pieces of whatever this is are made out of a metal, and the metal would have a texture to it. I don't know that it's actually grain. I feel like it's just the texture that's in the metal. There are some reflections in there, and that's what's causing that, which would make it make sense that it feels grainy and sharp and soft all at the same time, because edges of metal that do have a texture are going to do that. I think the maker did a great job with their presentation. It's got such a simple presentation with it that it just adds so much to it, and it keeps your eye focused right in the middle. I am going to keep my score at 85.
All right, everybody, let's rescore. '82.
Basilica Gate.
78.
The twists and turns of Amish life.
78.
Hey, Mom, I'm home.
78.
That was the last fine art illustrative commercial. We now move to fine art landscape and nature. The first one is Fall Time in Orange.
$78.
Shiprock Morning Splendor.
$84.
Challenge.
Is that you, Ella?
It is.
All right, let's hear it.
I have this at 85 in the excellent category. We're so close on this. I just think the makers did a really gorgeous job of framing this with that sweep of foreground and the beautiful sky behind it. We are seeing details everywhere in this image, highlights and shadows. And I think the makers done a very nice job on this.
Lisa.
I agree. I do think the maker did a great job on this. I scored this an 81, and I will say, as soon as I punched my number in, I thought, oh, maybe I underscored it. The sky is just so brilliant. The rock itself, it does have so much detail in it. You see everything. That foreground for me, however, is a little bit bright and a little bit flat. I wish that there was a little bit more directional light on that foreground like there is in the background, just to give it that extra little bit of drama. But overall, I think it's a beautiful image and the maker did a great job.
Kathleen.
I scored this image an 85 in the excellent category. I really appreciate the color palette and all the detail. I love the warmth on one side of the rock formation and the cool tones on the other side. I agree with my fellow juror that the foreground in the front just being a little bit too bright, which tends to pull me down from the image. So that would be my only suggestion, to darken that down just a little bit. So you're focusing more on the beauty that is the sky and the rock formation.
And rebuttal.
Okay, I really think we kind of need that foreground to be bright. Otherwise, the sky would kind of look blown out and oversaturated. It gives it a bit of balance, which I think was actually pretty clever of the maker. As far as more dimension from the angle of the sunlight coming in, I don't see how the maker could have done that. The shadow side is basically invisible to us. It's on the back side of whatever that mound of dirt is on the left. So I believe this should be in the excellent category. I'm keeping my score at 85.
Rescore, everyone. Very nice. 85.
Contemplation.
$86.
Homestead Barn.
$85.
Textured Beauty.
78.
Coastal light.
$82.
Challenge. It's me, Ella.
Take it, Ella.
I'm at 86 on this. I'm really enjoying this. The composition, the kind of layering that we've got there and the light coming in and out and that movement in the water just makes it all misty. I think the maker's done a really nice job of creating impact with kind of also almost a fantastical kind of imagery coming at us. It doesn't look real, but it looks so real in some ways. So I think it's really a nice job of storytelling and impact combined.
Lisa.
I scored this image a 78. I appreciate the movement in the water. I have trouble, however, finding what the subject actually is here and having somewhere for my eye to settle. It just keeps moving all over, and I just want that one thing for my eye to kind of settle on. And for me, that's not there.
Kathleen.
I score this image an 82 in the deserving of our category, and I agree with the lack of a center of interest. I do appreciate the tones and the water movement. There's so many little gems to see in the little pockets around the movement, but I don't know exactly where to stop.
Ella, rebuttal.
Yeah, interesting comments. For me, I think there's enough ground down there in the bottom right with that bright spot. And we've got kind of a leading line where we come in from the left with the water, all those bright areas leading us over to the right side. And then that little area of brightness kind of stops us and brings us around again. So for me, I wasn't worried about a center of interest in this one. I think the whole thing is really kind of balanced in a nice way. So for me, it works. 86.
Rescore. $83.
Art in the receding tide.
$81.
Across the river.
$76.
The road less traveled.
$77.
The crossing.
$76.
Buzz off, she's mine.
$77.
Photobombed in nature.
77.
Quiet Mood 4.
'81.
Mountain Sentinels.
'78.
Poseidon Rising.
'78.
Got a majority challenge.
Lisa, why don't you take this one?
Sure, I scored this an 80, deserving of a merit. I love the abstract nature of this. It has a lot of impact when it comes around. It looks like fire, but at the same time, we know it's an overview of this cool water with this icy blue. That really struck me and really helped to tell the story alongside the title, which I thought was great.
Kathy.
I too was at an 80 in the merit category. I'm just enjoying swimming around here, looking at the different colors and the different textures, and then the sparkles in the upper right from the sunshine. It's just very different.
Ella.
I landed at 75 on this one. For me, I needed something more as a center of interest for me in this one. I'm just kind of all over the place and not knowing where to land. And the highlights are so bright and the darks are so dark that I just didn't find for me that it was working as well.
And I assigned this, so there is no rebuttal. Please rescore. '80.
Monarch of the Garden.
'80.
How Green is My Valley.
'75.
Good Speed in the Fall.
'84.
Challenge.
Is that you, Lisa?
That's Lisa.
All right. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I scored this a 90. I think this is absolutely beautiful. This has so much impact when it comes around. The color in the sky, the color in the trees, the reflection in the water, just the whites of the building and the bridge. It just all comes together for me and absolutely works. I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say.
Kathleen.
So I was at a 79 on this image in the above average category. I do very much enjoy all the color that is going on in the sky and in the water and in the trees. I think that's beautiful. I think I'd like to see a little bit more, maybe more texture in the trees and the sky. And I think I'm getting my eye, such as a blue car and just a little red wagon on the right.
You're cutting out a little bit, Kathleen.
In the details rather than enjoying. Oh, can you hear me now? I
Please
haven't
ask her-
moved.
Please
Yeah.
ask her to repeat completely. It's unaudible.
The part right before you said something about a blue car, you cut out and then you
Okay.
cut out again. So if you could just go back to that spot.
Sure. I hope you can hear me now. I haven't moved, I promise. I keep getting stuck in the distractions of a blue car on near the wharf and what looks like maybe a storage unit to the left of that that's green. Just some, items that are in the scene, but I think probably could have been toned down a little bit to really make it be more about the scene and not the distractions of like the telephone pole with the transformer, those things. I know they're part of the scene, but for it to be a high level image, I feel like those things could be toned down a little bit, but I do love the color palette and the reflections. The time of day is lovely.
Ella.
I have this one at 82 in the merit category for the impact and the overall composition, which I think is really lovely. For me, I wanted to be a little more tack sharp, especially that white building in the middle. And I think the fact that the biggest white building is smack in the middle is kind of a little bit off-putting too. I'd kind of like to see it over a little bit if possible. But I agree with my fellow juror about the distraction of the green, whatever it is, dumpster trash or whatever. And the blue car took me a while to even find that, but I do think there are some other things that could be done on this, but 82 for me.
And a rebuttal.
Well, maybe I was a little overzealous. I will bring my score down a little bit. I do still feel that this is deserving of a merit. I will come down to, let's do an 84 at the top of that category.
And rescore, everyone. 82.
I'm not Polly, and I don't want a damn cracker.
$78.
Colors of fall.
Kathy? Oh, there we go. 78.
That is it for fine art landscape nature. Next we'll go to portrait 18 and under. Sophie's time.
$76.
And that is it for portrait 18 and under. So we're taking a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break. We're about midway through our images, a little under midway through. And so if you need to get a coffee or a water or something or other, Lisa, how long do you want?
5 minutes is probably sufficient.
Okay, let's everybody be back at 5:40.
All right.
The judges at least can come back at 5:40. For those of you that popped in after the introduction, I just wanted to let you know that the judges will critique one image that you choose from anything that you entered. So please put that, if you already know, since some of them have been judged, if you know which one you'd like chosen to be critiqued by the judges, please put the title into the chat box, and Joyce will go ahead and collect all of them so that at the end we'll be able to pull them all up. Okay? Thank you.
This is Ella. I'm back.
I'm back. It's Kathy. I never left.
I'm back.
I'm here too.
Okay, it's 5:39, so you guys are prompt. You're doing a great job so far. I love listening to everything that you're all talking about. I'm sure everybody else is too. It's such a learning experience, and I don't think we can imbue that to everybody out there enough. You know, that just even if you haven't entered, just to watch and listen to what the judges are discussing is so valuable. That's how I learned early on. I had a
Okay.
mentor. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any better way to learn.
I had a mentor. She sat me down in a seat, gave me a pad of paper, and she said, "All right, now you score along with the judges." And I did. And so that was, and I've ever since then, I've always loved image competition. I gotta stop calling it print because it's not print anymore.
Right.
All right, it's 5:40. So Lisa, if you're ready, I don't know if Kevin, are you back?
I'm ready.
I'm just checking to make sure Kevin's
Yes,
back.
yes, I
Okay.
am.
Perfect. Okay, so let me pull that down. We're going into the next category.
Our next category is portrait animals.
All right, give me a second. I'm gonna get back there. Okay, I'm ready.
I heard you.
$78.
I'm a good boy.
$79.
Chip and Dale.
$78.
Bee Haven.
$76.
Pensive pup.
$77.
Delilah's chair.
$81.
Can I come too?
$78.
That was the last of portraits animal. We now move to portraits general.
I've lost the screen.
There's nothing showing.
Okay, no, I just, it seemed like it went away
Oh.
before the score came up. I'm just curious, I'm hearing some background noise and I'm wondering if maybe there's a lot going on Zoom that's maybe kind of making us cut in and out because we weren't cutting in and out when we were just in the beginning. Sometimes
There is some background
They're
noise that is
both-
distracting.
Are there any videos on? Sometimes the video's on with a lot of people, it tends to pull the bandwidth.
Steven, can you you can turn off his video. There we go. Actually, Marietta,
just
you
trying
and
to-
Joyce
I
can
know,
turn off your
yeah.
video as well.
Oh, yeah, I can.
Generally, I don't think the video is the problem.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, I thought that's what I had heard it was. Okay. And also, while I have your all attention, can we bring back Delilah's chair when you have a moment, please?
Delilah's chair?
Yes.
Well, let's do that right now.
Well, thank you.
It was two back.
Yes, please.
All right. Is this Kathy who's channeling? I mean, sorry, channeling, challenging.
This is Kathy. I just wanted to bring this back because I feel like maybe I missed something and I want to make the maker the best feedback and chance. I scored this image to 77. I love the color palette. I love the concept. What's kept my score from going higher is the vertical lines in the background are kind of being tipped back. So it's an angle. And that's what kept me from going higher. And I just want to give the maker every chance that this will succeed going further. So I just wanted my fellow viewers what I would have missed.
Ella.
Yeah, I scored this an 82, and after I put in the score, I noticed that the verticals pitching in towards the center. I think I still would have put it in the merit category because I love the drama of this. I think the cat and that background are a great combination. But I actually wrote down the name to give the maker some feedback on, to bring it back and give the maker feedback on the fact that they really need to address those uprights if they expect this to do well. So I'm in total agreement with Kathy on this.
Lisa.
Yeah, I scored this an 83. I was really taken with this image and I thought it has so much impact. The color palette, as Kathy pointed out, is awesome. Everything is the same tones except for those blue eyes, which grab your attention and just hold your attention right in that face. There's detail in the highlights, there's detail in the shadows. That's not an easy thing to do with such different tones in one animal. The lines in the background are the thing that held me back from going into an even higher category. I think overall the maker did a great job here. I really enjoy the symmetry in this image. And yeah, just fix those lines and get them going vertical. And I think this could go very far.
Kathy, rebuttal?
Great. I'm glad to hear that you agree with me. Like I said, I was at a 77. It's just something about it pulls me. It just kind of unsettles me because of the way they are pitching. I would recommend, straightening up and perhaps even darkening down a little bit behind the cat where it looks a little bit washed out. But overall, I agree that the color palette's lovely. Those blue eyes, the eye contact, the reflections on the chair are lovely, but I really wanted to bring this back so that the maker isn't disappointed going forward if it does not get, I think it has potential to do really well, but straightening up that background definitely be key to that. So I'll raise my score to an 80.
All right, everybody rescore. 82. Now we can go to the portrait.
Here, the first one in portrait is Forever My Love.
$75.
Bowler hat.
$75.
Fashion of the 60s.
$77.
With accents of red.
$79.
Precious last moments.
77.
The general.
$79.
Girls, girls, girls.
$77.
And that was the last one for portrait general. We now move to reportage. The first one is Can't Catch Me.
$79.
If you feed me, I will come.
$77.
Stay upright, we will win.
$77.
Prince Charming in training.
$76.
Racing in the rain.
$76.
And that was the last one for reportage. We now move to artistry. Our country's freedoms.
$76.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
$80.
Shoreline rugby.
$78.
60s orange madness.
76.
That was the last one for artistry. We now move to wedding. Hitched a ride.
$77.
Let's get this party started.
$79.
Stolen moment.
$78.
I'm so excited.
$77.
Always waiting.
$83. Is that you, Kathy?
This is Kathy, yes.
All right. Take it.
So I scored this an 85 in the excellent category. I just think this is a fantastic composition, emotion, range, presentation. I feel like it has a lot going on. I love the texture in just the simple things in his suit dress. I think it has a lot and belongs in excellent categories. So I'd like to hear what everybody else is thinking.
Ella.
I scored this at 82, and I'm in agreement. I think I was a little chicken on this one. I think I love the diagonal lines. I love the way the maker has divided up the bride from the groom there. Even the little cockeyed bow tie is kind of delightful in this. So I think I'm low on this one. I could easily go up to the next category.
Lisa.
I also scored this an 82, and I'm with Ella. I feel like the longer it sits here, the more I'm enjoying it, and I could certainly go up as well.
Kathy, looks like you've got a good rebuttal.
So I haven't really heard anything negative. So I'm just going to keep going on all the positive things. I think that the lighting in the image that brings all the details just in the spin. That need are vertical, all the horizontals are horizontal, so we're not getting any of that that we can get in images. I love the storytelling. I think that the range of black and whites is lovely. The presentation is simple, doesn't it. The expressions are wonderful. I think I might have been low at an 85, and I think I'm going to go higher. And I invite you to join me.
What will your final score be?
I'm sorry. I'm going to an 88.
Okay, everybody rescore. 89.
Challenge.
Okay, Ella.
I put this at 92. Again, I'm not hearing anything negative about it. And I think the maker has done such a nice imaginative job on this. I think we're low in the excellent category for a wedding image. This is taken on the day of the wedding. The maker had to be very cognizant of so many things and the storytelling is wonderful in this. I mean, the details, the little ruffles in the dress over and under the railing, everything just brings us right in. Even the room that's up at the top where the turn of the stairs happens, we're getting detail in there. We're not losing any detail anywhere. So I'm in the superior category now.
And Lisa?
Yeah, I came up to an 88. I'm certainly listening. I really do enjoy this image quite a lot. One little negative thing that I will point out that keeps grabbing my eye, and it's very small. It's in that room at the top of the steps. There's a little black thing right above the railing that's coming out from the wall. I don't know what that is, but because there's that contrast with that black, my eye does kind of get caught on that little tiny detail. It's a tiny little thing, but I just wanted to point that out as one little negative on there. But I'm listening, and I could certainly go up as well.
Kathy?
I think this is one of those images that the longer it's, the more you appreciate the details about it. So I agree with Ella that I could have been a category too low. The little black thing, I do see that. I can see how that might catch your eye, Lisa. Yeah. I keep
Let's
getting,
rescore.
I keep just getting lost, and I love Ella's term, the delightful tie. I keep getting lost in all these little texture details throughout the image that are just keeping me in here. So I do agree that I was a category low. So I'm willing to go up.
All right, let's take her home, Ella.
Okay, I think it's a doorknob up there. I think we're seeing the edge of a door, and that's just a doorknob with a little shadow next to it. I agree with Kathy. Those textures that they're holding all the way up and down the stairs case, just fantastic. I don't think it needs to be any better than it is to hit the superior category. So I'm very happy at 92, and let's see how it goes.
All right, everybody rescore.
Oops.
$92. Well done.
Quiet moment.
$76.
And that was the last one for wedding. We're now moving to the critiques.
All right, Marietta.
Okay, well, no, we actually have an open category that people can enter. It's not anything for awards. So the next following ones that you guys are going to see are by makers that have actually entered these into this category. Okay, and then the critiques will be after that. So this
Marietta,
yes,
it's
dear.
Joyce. Off of the chat, I got a suggestion. The same lady seems to be having audio issues. Have her dial into Zoom using a cell phone or landline. I share this with you because it's here.
Oh, Stephen must have said that.
Very good.
Okay,
But Kathleen is probably using her phone for
to
her
score.
keypad.
Correct.
Are you having issues hearing me? I haven't had any issues since.
Yeah. You
Okay.
frequently cut out, and it's just you.
Yeah, you like lose half a word. Okay, guys, I'm going back on mute.
What would you guys like me to do?
I think unless it happens again, then we can address it.
Okay.
So let's start with with this open category, and literally you can score it. You still are going to score this, but you're also going to talk about them. That's all.
So every image in the open category will be discussed?
It doesn't have to be discussed. It could be, if the score, says what it is, then that's what it is, but if there is a discussion that comes from it, please feel free. Okay.
Like a challenge, you mean?
Challenge. It's really just a category that they wanted to enter, and they wanted to see what they would get for these images as far as scores and any feedback. So,
okay.
All right. All right.
First one, autumn abundance.
$79. I heard somebody have a thought.
I will have a thought.
Okay.
I can give some feedback on this. I think the story is really great. I think that the location that the maker chose to photograph the scene is quite nice. I feel that the scene itself is a little bit flat and all the drama is in the sky. So my eye really goes to the sky instead of to the landscape, which I think is really the subject of the image here. So I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between the two. And it might be that the sky just needs to be toned down a little bit. I don't know, but that's my feeling on this image.
I want to take a moment just to add a comment. As I'm looking at this image, it feels like the right half of the image and toward the back on the left is treated differently than the left hand side. The right side has this soft sort of HDR quality to it, and there's not a lot of sharpness, and that HDR type of treatment almost makes it feel like an illustration rather than a photograph. But then when you look at the left side, it's all very sharp, and we don't have that same quality, that same treatment. And so there's a little disconnect for me. I keep going from the yellow and green trees on the right to this illustrative looking thing on the right. For me, it was just disconnected. I would have struggled to put this into the merit category, even though I would want to, because it's beautiful. Anybody else have a comment before we move on? All right, next image.
Blues on the Rock.
$77.
I have a few comments on that one.
Okay, let's hear it.
One thing that that really is taking me out of the image is the kind of royal blue or aqua blue pinstripe. It's just too brazen for what's going on here. It just pulls us away from the image, even though it kind of matches the feet. And I'm not sure what kind of bird this is with those feet, but it just doesn't look real. And then we've got the harsh light coming in and making the belly, the white belly, lose all the detail. So I think the maker has to be really careful of those things.
If I'm not mistaken, that is a blue-footed booby.
Okay.
Good comment. I thought the same thing about the key line. All right, next image.
Neck and neck.
$81.
I'll talk about that one.
Let's hear it.
I think this is a really cool image, and I think it has a lot of potential. As it's presented right now, I feel like the horizon line is tipping a little bit to the right, so that I would like to see straightened up a little bit. It also feels like it's maybe been over sharpened. There's so much, like too much detail in the horse's coats, in their fur, that it's making it almost feel a little bit grainy. So I think if that were brought back a little bit, just tone it down a little bit, that's going to help it. I'm seeing that same kind of noisy, grainy stuff throughout the snow, which does give it a little bit of detail, but it's not quite natural detail, I feel like in the snow. I love the snow that's being kicked up by the horses and the texture that's in there. I think that's great. But in the flatter areas of the snow, it just doesn't feel quite natural. And especially when you've got a similar tone in the presentation, and that's very smooth. So maybe bring the exposure down in Lightroom or whatever processing your program you're using to get some more detail in the snow without it being over sharpened.
I just want to point out that there's no actual horizon line. You only get a horizon line when you have water meeting sky. So this being a little crooked is probably because it's a hill.
Quite possibly, but it's just one of those things that I notice. And you know, if it were tipped the other direction, I would just try it and see how it feels. It might feel like everybody, like the horses and the person and everybody else is being tipped. But it's just because it's not parallel. It just feels a little off to me. It's one of those things that you just have to try, I think, and see how it is.
Any other comments? All right, let's move on to the next image.
Navajo Solitude.
'78.
Rugged Twilight.
'81. I feel like we need to talk about this one though.
Yeah. I'm happy to if nobody else wants to.
Yeah, take it.
All right. I think this foreground is really striking and really beautiful. I think the biggest problem with this image is going to be in that snow-capped mountain. This looks like it's a night image. We've got clouds, we've got the moon. It's a little bit darker. And that snow is so bright, it's getting blown out. I think the whole thing, actually, the entire image could probably go darker and just have a little bit more drama as a result. The direction of light that's hitting the foreground, I feel I don't know where that light is coming from with the moon being so bright. So that's a little bit off too. I don't know if that was something that was done in post-processing and artwork, but it's just one thing to note, your direction of light, and just kind of watch for that. One other little quick thing on the far left side, where the edge of the mountain hits the sky, it might be clouds, but there's some kind of dark fuzzy stuff that's on the edge of the clouds going into the sky, almost like a halo, but opposite of a halo since it's not light. And that just doesn't look like it should be there. Again, it might be a cloud, it might be completely natural, I don't know, but I think if that were cleaned up, it would probably help the image.
That last comment was the thing I was concerned about, so I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
All right, next image.
Don't be messing with me right now.
'76.
Yeah, let's talk about halos.
Okay,
They
let's
don't,
talk
they
about
don't
them.
have to be dark. Don't have to be light. They can be dark. And this bird has a halo all the way around it of darker pixels that really needs to be just taken care of. There's a lot of impact with that bird's head, and the focus is great. It's really nice and sharp. There is a little bit of extra light hitting the neck that maybe could be toned down, but I think the big problem and the big thing that's going to hold this back is the halo around the bird. And you've also got kind of a halo around the presentation on the inside, and it may be that the maker added that, but I don't think it's adding to your image at all. I think it's going to take away from it. So I would be very careful about that.
Thank
I'll
you.
just I'll
Oh,
just
go ahead.
add, yeah, on this one also, one other thing that I really noticed is with the composition, it's very centered, and I think it would be a much stronger composition if there's more of the neck. I'm guessing this is a very long necked bird, much like a heron. I don't know what kind of bird this is. But I think if it were a longer, skinnier crop, add, like, if there's room on the original image, getting more of that neck in there and pushing the head up toward the top of the frame in the image, that might be a more successful composition.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Let's take a walk.
$80. And we have some differing opinions on this. Let's talk about it. How about Lisa, you go first. Tell us
Yeah, I would
why you
have given
scored
this,
this.
yeah, I would have given this an 84. I think this is a really beautiful image. I think it's a great time of day. We've got directional light. There's highlight and shadow throughout. We've got nice leading line from that road that just brings us right into the scene. I love the fencing on the right side as well. The colors are great. One thing that I am struggling with is the presentation. That green color, and especially the kind of the neon green stroke line, is probably the biggest issue with this image overall, in my opinion.
I agree with everything Lisa said, except I ended up at 79 for a couple of reasons. My eye is continuously being pulled to that bright spot about 2/3 of the way over to the left on the top there. And that shouldn't be where my eye is going. And just below that, a little to the right, there are some really bright orange leaves, yellow leaves that are kind of melting into each other, almost like it's been oversaturated, especially in that one area. And I think, we really could use like a couple walking down that path or something like that to make this really sing. But it really is those two areas right there kept me out of the merit range.
Awesome commentary. All right, let's move on.
Good night, barn.
$78.
This is really interesting because I don't see any constellation patterns in the sky. It's like somebody dropped in a whole bunch of white dots there and to make us think those are stars. So that's one of my concerns. And then the way the barn is shot kind of makes it feel distorted. So I have a couple of issues with reality here.
I was going to say the same thing. I think the lens choice on this was probably a little too short, which then would have the net effect of having the barn lean backwards, which is what it feels like it's doing to me. It feels like it's leaning backwards, looking up to the sky.
Yeah, exactly.
I will just add one little thing to what you guys have said. Just on the far left side of the barn, where that window is, just above that in the sky, there's something going on there. There's like a rectangular pattern or something kind of odd happening there. So I would have the maker take a look at that. Yeah, there's just some weird stuff in the sky. So I think it's a really great concept, but there are some issues to look at, but that one really jumped out at me.
Good feedback. All right, next image.
Shopping for dinner.
78.
I'll add a couple.
Okay.
Kathy. I'm just noticing the animal on the left that there's a lot of sharpness or crunchiness in the paw. Then when to, not really the mane, but the chest area is very soft and smooth. And then again, we have the crunchiness, on parts of the face and even the hindquarters. It's really crunchy there. We've got these offset spots. That's a little bit confusing to me. It just, maybe it's a processing or a technique, but I'm noticing it on the back animal as well. Lion, sorry. Lions, am I right?
Yes, lioness, it looks like.
That's right. No mane, that's why.
All right, next image.
Doorway to the future.
'78.
I'll speak to it, I guess, if nobody else is interested. This is one of those that I was kind of confused about, like how to score this. I don't really understand completely what's going on. I can guess what's going on. I'm thinking that's maybe an old doorway and somebody's renovating the building. I don't really know. So that was confusing to me. I do like kind of the wave in the sidewalk. It kind of goes downward as it goes, which makes it feel really old, like it's been walked on a really long time. There's that one white dot down there in front of the step, and I don't know if that's an error, like just somebody accidentally clicked on their on the image with their, like if it's just a brush. I don't know what that white dot is. That I think needs to go away because it's very distracting. But oh yeah, overall, I think it's an interesting image. I just am a little confused by it overall.
You're not alone. I was utterly confused by it as well. And I had the same exact issues.
Thank you. Next image.
Ancient beauty.
'78.
Just for the maker on that one, on the building that's on the lower right, we've got some white haloing on the left-hand side above that circular roof, spherical roof. And we have no detail in that black top of the arch, and it would be nice to see some detail there, perhaps.
Thanks. Next image.
Lifescape.
'77.
I'd like to talk about this one. I really like what's going on here in a way. I think it's kind of a slice of life and cluttered and stuff. I like the basic image in there, but I think the presentation really doesn't do it justice at all. I think you could do better with a much simpler, a more neutral presentation, maybe even a black presentation on this one. This is going to be one that the judges are all over the place on, I bet, because it's just so much going on. Yeah.
My thoughts on this were that it was absolutely stunning from a slice of life standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, all of the stuff going on, just the timeless, phenomenal lifescape. But I feel like there is not enough sharpness in this image, and that would have been a struggle for me to put it in the merit category from technical excellence standpoint, even though the storytelling and creativity were just off the charts. Lisa, did you have something to add? Yours was the lowest score.
Yeah, I would have given this a 74, which I know stings, but you know, one of the basic things with photography is sharpness and getting that focus. And like you said, Lisa, I don't see anything that's really sharp here. And that's my biggest struggle with this is the technical excellence.
I agree as well. It's too bad the verticals are all vertical.
I
Like,
know.
Yes.
When you look at it, it's like, oh, it's so close.
So
Because
close.
it's got so much great things going on for it. So technical, this is definitely an opportunity. It's like the thought was there, the creativity was there, the vision was there, and now
Yeah.
it's just to perfect that.
One more thing about this. Remember the rule of odds, where odd numbers work better than even numbers generally in a composition. So I think it would work better to eliminate maybe the door on the right and crop in a bit.
Well, I generally agree with that. In this case, I think having 3 doors that kind of match and then the blue door that just blows everything out of the water. Like I would normally say an odd number is best, but in this case, I think the 4 works really well just because that first door is so different from the other 3.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe instance even flipping it. So the blue doors on the
Oh,
right.
Yep.
yeah, definitely.
And the extra space on the door on the right-hand side. It's got a lot more breathing room than the door on the
Yes.
left-hand side. So unless that was for a specific purpose, I probably would crop that a little bit closer.
Yep. Agreed. So much about this image. I'm glad we got to see it.
Yeah.
Next image.
I don't have an image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin, are you there?
Yeah.
It's the next image.
Layer cake.
$78.
Let's talk about this one.
Okay.
So great. I love the concept. I love the title. I'm just seeing technical issues in what appears to be over sharpening, and then so it's image quality and banding and posterization in the sky would be the first step to, perhaps the original file might, going back to the original file might be able to start over with the image without having that treatment on it. I do like the presentation. It's simple. I like the color, the monochromatic color palette.
Yes, I agree. There was a little bit of crunchiness going on with the mountains. All right, next image.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree.
$78.
I think this is a cool image. I was right at 78. It's a really unusual bird, and I think anytime you have something unusual, that's a good thing. Finding something different is a good thing. I think there are some technical issues with this as well. Down near the feet, especially the one on our left, it looks like there's some masking issues with the tree. There's a little bit of like background that's kind of going over the foot, on the inside of the foot, right under its chest, I suppose. The background is kind of coming through where I feel like it should be the feathers themselves. And then I think the background really is just a little too sharp. I'm guessing that this is somebody who probably dropped in a different background, which is fine. I just don't know that this one in particular is working with this image. I would also recommend toning down that stroke line. It's a little bit bright and pulls your eye out to the outside rather than keeping it right in that bird.
Thank you. Next image.
Salad on the savannah.
'77.
A little bit flat lit for my taste, the elephant is. And if you look at the tusk that's on the right-hand side, around that tusk, we've lost all the texture of the grass just around the tusk. So it looks kind of strange, like maybe something was done to clean that up or extend it or something, and the maker didn't kind of carry through the texture of the grass behind it.
Yeah, I was thinking that perhaps a little bit too much highlight recovery was done on this image, which then gives it a muddy quality,
Right.
which you see through the clouds, and then you see on the elephant with that just kind of a general grayness.
I feel like the sky was added in post-processing. I don't know that that's the original sky. I think with as much light as there is in the clouds, we would have more directional light on the subject. And also on the horizon, if we can call it that, especially on the right side, the grasses are a little bit soft along the edge. And then as you get closer to the elephant, it gets really sharp along the edge. So that doesn't feel like it was masked properly. We have the kind of the same thing going like underneath the elephant between its front legs. It's really, really sharp. The back end is really, really sharp. And, you know, if I feel like it should look like that very right side of the grass where it's a little bit softer, since it is so far in the distance, there would be a depth of field thing happening, especially along the grass. So if that's the case, if it is not the original sky, I would just encourage the maker to work on the masking a little bit, maybe choose a different sky that has a similar lighting pattern that's in the foreground and on your subject.
I would also add that the crop is a little awkward where they're cropping off just the little bottom of the feet on this elephant, especially the front feet. The back feet seem to be all there, but that's just an awkward crop, and that's going to put a bunch of judges off.
And I'd like to add just the horizon line. It's the sky. I agree with Lisa that I felt like the sky had been added in, and where the grass meets the sky, it's, you know, a very finite. It's very an obvious it's too obvious a transition, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Great feedback. Thank you. Next image.
It's still life.
'81.
I'd just like to say that I think the crop on that one is also off. The way that the pots are sitting right on the pinstripe really kind of feels like it should have more room beneath it. I do think the colors are great, really beautiful colors.
I love the shadows on the walls. They're so real. I think
Yeah.
that was the shadows on the walls and the color palette is beautiful. But I agree also with the way they're sitting.
I just wanted to touch for a minute on the storytelling aspect of this. I feel like there's a story here that isn't obvious, but then when it clicks, it really clicks. The title is "It's Still Life." as in a still life image, but also still as in persisting. It's still life. And I think that thing on the left is probably an urn, perhaps with ashes on it.
Yeah.
And for me, that's just really powerful emotional storytelling. I think that has some potential to really do something. I do have some questions about the very center of the flowers, though.
Yes.
It feels like there's some masking problem, some
Yep,
little areas that are light that
I saw it too. Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
But I think there's potential here, and I would just love to see, you know, some extra care and attention taken to the technical aspects and the cropping, and kind of see where this goes.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I love what you just said, Lisa. That really hit home too. On the right-hand side of the image, the bottom.
You cut out again, Kathy.
What looks like circles. Right. Oh, can you hear me? It's
Nope.
funny, I'm not moving.
I think your Wi-Fi is probably having problems. Okay, so what was going on with the right side of the image?
Whoops, did we lose her?
The image circles.
So, oh, I see it. In the right hand,
Oh, yeah.
lower right hand corner. Some hard edge circles.
Looks like some sort of cloning, but done with big with a hard edge.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, some good feedback for this image that has a lot of potential, but it does have a few things that need to be addressed. All right, next image. Oh,
All right, we are at the
That
end.
was,
So
that was it.
there's one image that was in this group that we did not talk about. And I think we need to do that for the maker, because if it were me, I'd be really disappointed.
I was thinking the same thing, so I'm glad you said that. I don't remember exactly
And
which one it was.
Navajo, something or other Navajo. That one.
Navajo
That's the
Solitude.
one. Yeah,
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it.
All right, let me see if
Yeah, I felt this was muddy. You know, it's got such strong elements in it, and yet it's very kind of muddy in the whole, in all that terrain.
Yeah.
So that kind of held me back on this one.
I wanted to see darker midtones to get rid of that feeling like there was a haze over the land. It's not haze as in atmospheric particulates, it's haze as in something covering the image.
I also felt the presentation was very large on this. I think it could be cut in half. It doesn't need to have such a huge mat on it. Let the image speak and take up more of my screen space so that I can see all that detail, because it's really there. I think this is another one that has a lot of story and a lot of potential. It just needs a little finessing. Highlights and shadows, I think, if the maker were to go in and really enhance those things so that we have a little bit more detail and it's not so flat, I think that could help it go a really long way.
Absolutely agree. All right. How does the next part go, Marietta?
We have one tie that we need to break. So I think what I'd like to do is put the judges into a breakout room and just take care of that tie. And then we just need a few minutes to gather the critiques that our entrants wanted, and also any of the ones that the judges wanted as well to talk about. So let me see if I can figure that whole thing out. Let's see, breakout rooms. Okay. Breakout rooms, I'm going to assign manually. I'm going to create, sorry. All right, so. Okay. And all right, so I I think I did it right. And do I just open all rooms to start it? Yeah.
There we go. Yep, we
Okay.
just joined now.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so everybody else, you'll kind of be hanging in limbo. So everybody else should be hanging in limbo. They can't see anything, correct? Whoops, Joyce, unmute. Joyce, you have to unmute. Joyce, you need to join the breakout room. It should have given you
Okay, now that I finally have the right screen back up, I was off doing other things,
there you
And
go.
I'm-
Just join the breakout room one.
which is someplace on the bottom or the top.
Mm,
Breakout room, found it.
okay.
Room 1, join,
Yeah, room one.
done.
And then you can have the judges break the tie. Oh, God.
You know, if you're having trouble, Marietta, a larger hammer might help.
I know. I liked your idea of a scotch though.
So at this point, we should probably say, you know, at ease, smoke them if you got them.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to stop my screen share in order to join that room.
Then leave me by myself.
Okay, because then I'll Mute. Okay, everybody, we are back. Hold on, we're waiting for Ella and Joyce to come back from the breakout room. So I'm going to give just another 5-minute break because I just have to indicate which ones we're going to talk about as far as the critique. And so if you give me 5 more minutes, we will be ready to start. So let's just say 6:57. Okay. All righty. You guys can't see my screen right now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Not that it really matters, but
We see Joyce.
perfect. Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I look like, death warmed over, but bear with me.
It's all right, Joyce. It's after Halloween.
Hello there, Debkey. How are you?
No, this is
I look like something out of Halloween, so I'm laying in dark.
Oh, geez.
this is post-COVID. She's still dragging her tail.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So Joyce, I sent you those names. You said the only one that you sent me was that one.
There was just one to add. You got the rest of them.
Okay. All right. Almost there. All right. I think I've got them all. Okay. So with 2 minutes to spare. And Joyce, you have the results ready to read?
I'm working on it.
Okay. All right.
And I'm only going to read anything that's 80 and above. So
Well, that's all we do. We just do the best first, second, and third.
I know.
Okay.
I'm merely stating what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. And so I need to share my screen again. Okay, and we will start at the top. All right, so are my judges back yet? 1 minute to spare.
Lisa Ast is here.
Yay. Lisa, you did a fantastic job judging. Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
You are welcome.
I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
so
my
fun to
gosh.
see everybody's work. And when you get to know the people and you can see the progression of their work, over time, it's really fun. And, being a part of the association, you get to see that all the time.
Right.
And so, yeah, I love it. I love it. And, you know, hopefully people are learning from this and getting great feedback from it and will take their work to the next level. It's really difficult, you know, when you start doing competition, not to take it personally. That's the hardest thing, I think. And so, yeah, but it's such a great thing. And I think everybody who does competition, who has done well in competition, has learned over the years that the judges, we're all here to help people to become better at what we do and yeah, just be the best that we can be. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. And at this point, everyone, you can all unmute so that when the judges are speaking to your image, that way they can speak directly to you. And if you want to put your video back on, you can. There you go, Phil. Thanks.
I see myself.
There you go.
Eerie.
That works. All right. I don't know if I want to see myself.
I think I need to do a vertical flip.
There we go. All right. Oh, Mark Garber's in the room. Huh.
Nice.
That's awesome. All righty. Oops. Hello there, Mark, wherever you are.
Well, hello.
How are you?
Not too bad. Is the judging over?
We're just going to go into the critiques and you're going to hear who won what. How's that?
Okay.
Well, that's perfect. Okay, so do we have, oh, Jack Hollowitz is in the house too.
He's been here most of the time.
He has been, I know. Absolutely. So yeah, feel free to unmute yourselves, everyone. So that way, like I said, if the judges are talking to your image, I mean, it's always nice for them to be able to talk to somebody. Kathleen's back. Lisa's back.
I'm back.
Ella's back. Yay. Okay. All right. So the first image that we had a request for that's coming up first for me is snaking through. So this one, the maker wanted to have you talk about it. If the maker is in the room, you can unmute yourself. There you go, Stephen. Whoop, Lisa, you're on mute. You're muted.
There we go. All right.
Perfect.
I found this to be a very compelling image. I loved the that snake that just goes right through the softness that we got from the long exposure. I would love to see just a little bit more density, a little bit more depth in those mid-tones. I feel like that would kind of put it over the top in terms of, you know, really giving us richness in this image. That was really my biggest comment. Anyone else?
Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree with what you said, Lisa. I think that the subject matter here is awesome. That S curve created by the train, like the positioning for this photo is just perfect. One issue that I had with this image, and it's such an easy fix, is that little parking sign right down here where that curve is. My eye just gets caught right there. Like that would be such an easy thing to get rid of. And I think it would just help out so much.
Absolutely agree.
Anybody else?
I appreciate that the verticals are vertical, that the buildings are upright and not skewed. I think that really adds to the image.
Perfect. It's Stephen Stuckey. I don't know if you're there or not, so I didn't know if you had it.
I'm actually loading my wife's cello into the car. We've got to go to a concert she's doing. But thank you for the comments. I really appreciate it. And the judging was spectacular. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Nice job.
Excellent. All right. The next one up is going to be Basilica Gate. And this one I think is Kevin's, right?
Yep, it's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt the density on this one needed to be toned down all the way around too. A little bit, maybe the wrong time of day. Light's super, super harsh on some of this. The shadows are really harsh.
Honestly, I was looking for a story on this one. For really to grab the judges, there needs to be some kind of story, and a title is usually the first thing that takes us into the story. So what you've told us, you've described what we're looking at. We're looking at a gate, and is apparently going to a basilica. What I needed to know is, why am I looking at this gate? So give us a story, give us a title that takes us somewhere, that brings us in emotionally, and that will go a long way toward really engaging your viewers, and in this case, the judges.
Okay.
I might also suggest your presentation, that gray is very, very small. It could be just a tiny bit bigger, but that gray is not really represented anywhere in the image. And it's a really good idea to choose a color from the image. I might choose that beautiful green that you see in the tile and in the arch. One of those green tones might be a stronger, or one of the brown tones, but the gray just does not fit in this image at all.
Good comment.
Mhm. Okay. Any other questions, Kevin?
No, and sadly, this was done in afternoon when we were there. We didn't have a real choice on lighting, so, but thank you, that helps me out.
Okay. All right. Next up is, hey, Mom, I'm home. And this was Steve Labkoff.
And for me, it felt like it was tilting a little bit. And I know they're probably on a hill, so they are tilting, but I would have kind of probably corrected that because it feels uncomfortable. There's also some little white spots in the grass that I would just retouch out because they're a little distracting. But I do like the tonality of this very much. The black and white range is really great.
If it's going to be toned, though, you might consider toning it more of a orange or yellow tone rather than the pink, because you want something that has an old-timey feel to go with the old-timey vehicles. And the pink, you didn't really see that happening until you had color images that were fading, but black and white images that faded tended to be more in the orange or yellow or brown tones.
I'm seeing on the right-hand side of the front vehicle, there's sharp grass, and then like above the tire, there's kind of a line, and then a whole bunch of softer grass. But then there's also a little spot in the softer grass of sharper grass. So I think it was something in the processing there that could be attended to.
Well, and it creates an artificial depth of field that does not follow through the rest of the depth of field. So that is definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Stephen, are you there? I don't know if you're around. Yeah, he said he might not be able to be here. Next up is one that I just threw my list away. Somebody wanted to talk about. Lisa wanted to talk about this one, is Fall Time in Orange.
Yeah, I thought this was a very cool image that has some potential to go further than what it did tonight. A couple of issues that I think held it back. We've got in the top left corner, as well as a little bit in the top right corner, we have some, I'm guessing they're leaves that are, much closer to the photographer. And I find those really distracting, those big blurry leaves that are way in the foreground. I would like the entire image to just be sharp and those not be there. So if that's something that can be corrected, if the maker is good enough to get rid of those and make it look natural, I think that would help it out a lot. I also think that stroke line, that bright orange stroke line is again, it's just a little too much. It brings my eye out of the image. But I think that the story is really interesting. I think the subject is really interesting. I liked the title a lot. I think that this image has a lot of great things to it.
All right, Lexi, you're here. Do you have any questions?
I might suggest not quite such a heavy matte. That solid heavy black is just really heavy.
Do you think would a burgundy do better, or something along like the lines of like almost a brown or so, or like, I just want to make sure the colors pop.
Right. You could go with something that's represented in the image. I think that would help, and just make it a deeper value. So choose the hue that works with the with the oranges or whatever is in there, but just make it a darker value so that it does allow the images to come out, but it doesn't disrupt in terms of color harmony.
Okay, thank you so very much.
All righty, next up we have Textured Beauty. And this was Connie, if you're still here.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Connie.
My video is not here, but my sound is.
All right. Go ahead, judges.
Yeah, we've got kind of a white splotch behind where the stem meets the rose on the right-hand side. That's very distracting. It's also looks like it's the stem is very flat. It doesn't seem to have a lot of dimension to it. So those, and the fact that it's just straight up and down and centered too. Diagonal lines work really well, or over to the side a little bit. All of those things were reasons that I didn't feel this kind of reached the level it should.
On either side of the stem, there is sort of a red, almost a halo on both sides. And I don't know if that is, another flower back there and it just wasn't burned in. I mean, everything around this flower is black except for alongside the stem. So that feels like an error.
I don't see
To
that.
the right. Sorry.
I see what you mean, and I that's an oversight on my part. I did not notice that this flower was in an arrangement, and I just thought it was a beautiful flower, and I wanted to do something with it. So I will definitely keep those things in mind. Thank you.
One thing that you might want to look up, this will help with doing backgrounds, is look up how to do a solar layer.
I have that.
Okay.
I might not have, I probably didn't run it on this one.
But if you do a solar layer, that will help you see anomalies in your background, and then things like that won't pop up.
Okay, thank you. I will do that.
Okay. Next up, we have a Quiet Mood 4. And this one, I should have told the scores. This one scored an 81. And Phil,
I haven't heard from Lisa in a while. The other Lisa, this one talks so much.
I'll talk about this image. I really liked this image a lot. Those trees are spectacular. Just the way that they're going at all these different angles, and some of them are totally bent over, and it just looks like little people with hair coming out the top of their heads. And it's just super cool. And I think that gosh, I love this image. The problem that I think it has is that it's just too mid-tone. There's no black here. There's obviously some whites, but I think that there just needs to be a little bit more depth, a little bit more shadow in there somewhere. it just really enhanced that. But it's just got so much mood. It's got a lot of depth. The foreground is sharp. The background is soft. Like that all works for me. Even the gray matte, I think, just ties everything together, and it's got a lot going for it, for sure.
Okay, good. Well, thanks. I was wondering, when I put this in, I was thinking, okay, this little clump, by the way, these things are called sea palms. They're about a foot or so tall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a seascape, about 30-second exposure, and the water is just washing over. So it
does not look like water at all.
Looks like something entirely different. But I was wondering, this one on the right over here, I thought about cropping that in, and I wondered if that was bothering anybody.
On the furthest right?
Yeah, the furthest right, the one that's kind of right against the edge, just above the.
That doesn't bother me at all. I would suggest cropping it up from the bottom a little bit. I don't think that bottom 15% of the image is doing anything to help with the composition. And really, because there's very little detail there, it is it's drawing attention away from what is really much more interesting, or should be more interesting, is the, right through the middle there. I don't think that bottom 10%, 15% is helping your image at all.
Oh, good thought. Appreciate it.
I would never have guessed this was a long water exposure. I thought this was like taken up fog from a high elevation, and that these trees were like 30 feet tall palms. So
yes.
you totally
This is not
snookered me on this one.
Everest. This is not Everest, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That is just crazy.
That's awesome. Beautiful capture.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your thoughts.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have good speed in the fall, and Lisa Dillon wanted to talk about this.
I did want to talk about this. There were a few things. I mean, this image has so much gorgeous potential. The very first thing that jumped out at me, though, is that this mat has got to go. This is a giant black bar at the top and a giant black bar at the bottom, and all that's doing is hemming this in. If those were gone, this image could open up so much more. It would fit better on the screen, so we'd see it bigger, and it would be just much stronger. You wouldn't have all this black that's overpowering all this rich color. So that was the very first thought. And everybody commented on the green thing in the center, and on the far right there's something that's really, really orange, kind of triangle shaped on its side, that could just easily be zapped out, and that I think would help it. But my other comment was the title. The title was Good Speed in the Fall. And I don't know if Goodspeed is the name of this town.
The Goodspeed is a theater in
it's an opera house.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm from Oregon. I'm judging this image. Goodspeed means nothing. A descriptive title is really not a valuable title. It's not going to take me on an emotional journey with this image. I'm not going to be grabbed by it. I'm just going to be shaking my head going, well, I don't know what this means. All right, so let's look at the trees. That's what a descriptive title does. It tells you what I'm looking at, and the thing should stand on its own, and then the title should take me somewhere on a journey. It should tell me something about this. 100 years and counting. Or,
could I say a land far, far away or something? Or
sure, something that brings me something else to the story here. You just lose an opportunity. The title is the only chance you get to sit down next to the judge and whisper in their ear and say, this is what I want you to know about this. This is what I want you to see. This is how I want you to feel.
Yep.
That's what your title is going to do. And it is so much with storytelling, and storytelling is what takes an 80 image to an 88 or more, because now we're invested in this image.
Good. Can I ask you a question? How we have specific sizes that we have to make our images, so I thought it had to be that size for the background when I entered it. It had to be so long and so wide, you know what I mean?
I think that's old school when you're doing a 16 by 20 or 20 by 24.
No, for the
map.
digital competitions, one side has to be at least 4,000 pixels or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the maximum. 4,000 pixels is
Is the
what's
maximum.
the longest side. Yes.
So
But
it
that
can
doesn't
be
mean that you have to make it fit into a a 16 by 20 aspect ratio.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
You learned something today. Yay!
I've learned a lot today, believe me.
That's
I've
the
learned
way
a
it used
lot.
to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's old school. That's how we had to do it when it was, a physical print and it had to be a 16 by 20. You had to
Right.
figure out where to put your picture inside of that.
Right.
That's not an issue anymore with digital.
Okay, because I made a template and I plopped it on the template because I thought that's what I had
Yeah.
to do.
No, just make it equal, and it's not equal. The
No,
left
it's
side
not.
is a little
No.
bit bigger than the right side. Just make it
Yep.
equal all the way around,
Oh,
about
yeah.
the size of what's on the right hand side, and
Yep.
that's gonna serve you pretty well.
And somebody mentioned they would crop it. Would you really crop it and not make the Good Speed Opera House the center of it? Like do it off?
I like the composition. I have no issues with that.
Oh, somebody mentioned it to be
There was
off-center.
someone, yeah.
Oh, I personally think it's fine. If whoever thought the cropping was off should go ahead and say.
Yeah, I didn't say anything, when we were challenging it about the crop. I would love it though if there was more of the bridge in there and really kind of force everything a little bit further over to the right and really let the bridge bring your eye into the scene.
Yeah, that's
I was hoping
exactly.
that there was more bridge.
There might be.
Yeah, go back to your original. Go back to your original and check and
Well,
see
I'll
what you
look.
can do, because I think it would make it much stronger.
This image has tremendous potential. I think
Thank you
there's
so
just
much.
some little crumbs that need to be picked up, and a few little things.
Well, I think I think it's a red car on the right, and I think it's a green dumpster. We're actually
Yeah.
working on
that
the wall.
blue vehicle I did not notice that at all. But the
No.
green and the red definitely stand out for me.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I was the one who initially mentioned those things. You can either, or you can simply.
Yeah, you're cutting out again.
Bummer,
Sorry.
man. It's not your fault. Never mind. I'll type it
No,
in.
go ahead. Go ahead. You seem to be okay now.
Okay. I was the one who initially pointed those out as being little picky and things, but you can either zap them out with content aware fill, and which very often does a great job, or simply using your paintbrush on color, you can paint them a color of the surrounding area, which then blends them into the background a little bit more. If you don't want to remove them completely, like that. The car or those things that are on the dock. There's a couple of things on what looks like a dock in front of that
Yeah,
structure.
there is a dock there. Yep.
If those are right now, they're blue. If you just made them, gray or the color of the dock, I would just gloss right over them.
Yep.
And they wouldn't
Fantastic.
stand
Yeah.
out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Really
and if you
appreciate
do
it.
that, Kay, just make sure that you do that in the reflection as well. Don't forget the
Yes.
reflection.
It's same
Thank
with
you.
the
Very
green.
true.
With the green dumpster, if you take it out,
Oh, yeah,
take out
yeah,
the
yeah.
reflection
Green-
and that
Yep.
red
I
car.
gotcha.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, what's that green thing in the water?
Exactly.
No, it's not there. All right. Thank
for
you.
that.
All right. Next up was actually another one that Lisa wanted to talk about. Lisa asked, I'm a good boy.
Yeah, I thought this was super cute. The expression is great. The eye direction, just sucks me right in. I do feel though that there's a little bit of a disconnect between the technique on the dog itself and the background. There's a lot of depth with highlight and shadow, light colors and dark colors within the dog, and the background just goes a little muddy and blah. So that's one thing that I would take a look at. Another thing that I'm really struggling with is the way the dog is sitting on the chair. The shadowing underneath the dog feels a little weird. And right in the front of the dog, I'm not sure quite what's going on, if those are little feet down there or what. It just seems very unnatural. It's just, I think the dog kind of became a poof ball without a lot of detail in legs and feet and that kind of thing. The face sells the image by far, but the bottom part of it, I think, has some issues along with the background.
When I look quick at it, it almost looks like a hedgehog.
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does.
Notice that poor little puppy.
I know, Connie, that was a great image. So Connie, I
Well,
don't know.
let me ask you, should the background be darker? That's based on, I mean, it's painted, but it's based on the backdrop that was, that was there in the original photo. And he does look, I mean, he was older and his little paw was just that way at the bottom. That's, but I could probably, change it a little bit, I guess, but he did.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where, I've heard it a million times. If you're going to paint an image, you have complete control. If you're doing something like artistic like that, you've got complete control. And so, yeah, I mean, if you can work on it to make it feel a little bit more natural, and even if you've got a different dog that you kind of put in there and then paint it so that we see some legs and we see some feet and it feels like he's got a base that he's actually sitting on, I think that would help it a lot. The background color really doesn't bother me. You've got some nice tones between the chair and the background. I think you just need to maybe darken the shadowing on the chair, like where the back seam is, where the back of the chair and the seat come together. It's just very gray and kind of blah, and I feel like it should be a little darker with some shadowing in there.
Okay.
So
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would also comment, and I feel like I've mentioned this several times, but the presentation on this is not really doing you any favors. It's gray, it's kind of competing. It's not exactly the same gray as the dog, so it's kind of competing with the dog. Using that space, coloring it one of the colors from the background would just make it sort of an extension of the background, put a very subtle key line, and then have the only gray thing in the image be the dog. That's going to make the dog pop instead of fighting with it.
Okay, yeah, I always struggle with what color to make mats. I probably did try that brown color and didn't like it, and probably tried several different gray. I had a textured gray. So I'll go back and play with that. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Next up, we have Fashion of the 60s. All right, a couple of you wanted to talk about, Kathy wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, fun concept. I really like I like the location. I'm a little bit, the things that are sticking out to me are the difference in the skin tones. It looks like the three women were lit at different times, I'm guessing composited. And also I'm looking like at the shadows. The woman on the right-hand side has feet that are not quite touching the ground, but no shadows beneath them. So that was something that jumped out to me right away, that she looked like she had been kind of, pasted in there, and just the tones on them are different from the tones in the actual scene. So that was something to really well, that like setting of time and place match.
I need to work on that. Thank you for I had these people all were in 60s fashion outfits, and I did photograph them somewhere else. So I need to work on that some more. And I do agree that girl on the right, but I was trying to put them together. That's the mother and the daughter. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So
the person on the right has no shadow at all.
I agree.
The chair does, but she doesn't.
The chair has a shadow with holes in it, which wouldn't be there.
So. Yeah, no, that's a real shadow.
Yeah, of the chair, but it's not a shadow of the person.
Of a girl. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll also point out that the shadow of the chair is going in a different direction than the other shadows from the other people.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Really
well, and the color of the shadows is different too. The chair shadow, which is authentic, is a different tonality than the color of the shadows of the people.
Yep.
So
it's a good concept.
Shadows are tricky. They're very tricky.
Keep working on this, but
yeah.
it's kind of like, where's Waldo? You're
That's what
catching me
it
on
takes
everything.
though, is that you have to just kind of keep working with it and getting feedback, and that's how you learn. And so I think
Yeah.
it's awesome that you submitted this and you put yourself out there, and
Thank
it's
you,
not an easy
Lisa.
thing to do. So yeah, congratulations for that, for sure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback.
Awesome. All right, with accents of red. So I don't know if Jay is still here. But if anybody could speak to that, he wanted it critiqued.
We haven't heard from Ella in a while.
Yeah, I'm kind of floundering on this one. I think the matte color doesn't work with this one at all. That green is kind of fighting with all that red. And I think for me, there's just that little bit of blue jean down there on the bottom. I would have probably changed that so it doesn't pull my eye to that. But I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here too. I really like the flower and the lipstick combination with those beautiful eyes. Those are spectacular. Her shoulder, camera right, is really bright. And that should be definitely toned down. And we've got kind of some weird contouring going on her left shoulder too. There's some bright spots and some dark spots that don't really look like the correct anatomy. So those little kind of things are gonna hurt you in the long run. I would also kind of maybe think about cloning out or content aware out the bobby pins that are holding her curls, because there's especially one, I just see a little white dot there. So just little tiny things, great concept, lots of good impact, but just a little tweak here and there. And I think this has got a lot of potential. Also the crop, usually you don't want to crop something just above the end of an appendage. So that camera left arm, you're cropping just above her hand. We just amputated her hand. So, so either crop up, so you're cropping with less of the arm showing, and then we lose some of the car. It's just a difficult spot to crop at.
I did want to comment on the skin softening. Feels like it might be just a touch overdone, and whatever treatment that you use to do the skin softening appears to have also softened her hair. So instead of having a lot of discrete hairs, it all kind of mushes together and it creates this sort of mushy quality. When I do skin softening, I like to do it on a dupe layer, put a mask on it, and then paint it back into the face at about a 60 to 70% opacity, so that you still have texture in the skin, and so it's not on the hair. Red hair and blonde hair tend to be particularly picked up when you do skin softening treatments because they have the same tonal range as your skin.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Great with the cropping of the appendages too. People don't tend to always remember that. All right, we've got Racing in the Rain.
Such an opportunity lost here. I think the lens choice here is not working for them. We've got so much going on where I kind of wanted to just zoom in, use like a wide angle and zoom in on one racer up close and get a story where the expressions here are so neutral. And if you're talking about racing in the rain, somebody's going to be miserable probably, or at least wet, and I'm not getting either of those. So I think in that way, it's kind of a missed opportunity.
I was thinking the same thing. The rain has passed, it feels like. I didn't see like raindrops in the puddle there. So I felt like it was like racing after the rain. But I wanted that same thing. I wanted the struggle. I wanted to feel like this is cold and miserable, and it just kind of looked like a Sunday bunch of people running. Like that decisive moment wasn't there.
Lexi, I think this is, yeah.
Yep. Still here, listening.
Okay.
Do you think if I maybe retitle it, would that help it out a little bit?
I mean, it could, because Racing in the Rain has a different, expectation when you hear it. So if you had a different story that's more accurately represented in the image, that could definitely help. I feel like this guy at the front, number 1813, like he's almost looking at the camera. I feel like, what's his story? Like, I feel like he's, you know, kind of the main center of attention on this.
I like the lady behind him. The way she's looking at him going, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought the 1813 guy was kind of the story here too, because he's making eye contact with the viewer and kind of holding my attention. There's something about him that is, I think he's the story.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. And then we have Our Country's Freedom. So I think, Lisa, you wanted to talk about that. Lisa Dillon.
I did. So on this woman, she has a gray line all the way around her arms, her shoulders, the little flag. Your extraction, taking this woman out of the scene, the edge just needed to be refined much closer so that we don't have part of the tree coming with us into the next image.
Uh-oh.
That was the first thing, especially, I mean, I noticed it on both arms, but it was right there on that right hand side. That was the first thing that I noticed when I saw this.
I see what you're saying.
But the other thing is that in an artist image, we are judging the artwork that's been done to this image. And basically we have a base image, an extraction, and a woman that's been attached, and then a little thing. And that's not a whole lot of artistry that's been done to this image. There needs to be maybe more manipulation, something else that's, you know, just a simple composite without other artwork done. You're going to struggle.
Category?
What's that?
Different category, maybe, or no?
Probably a different category. Artists, we're expecting to see a significant amount of artwork done rather than just layering 3 images.
Yeah.
So I don't think it rises to the level of difficulty expected in an artist entry. Now, if you just had this, you know, more illustrative, or I don't know what category necessarily, but something else, and created a strong title, storytelling title to, you know, take us somewhere, that would definitely be a stronger entry in a different category.
Thank you.
But you got to get that edge refined.
You know, I have to confess, I'm new to Creative Cloud, and I've been working on Photoshop 7 for I can't tell you how long. And now they have that object removal and Adobe.
Oh, it's great.
But
it still requires some finesse.
Yeah, I think so. I got to learn more about it.
Keep at it.
Yeah,
you're on your way.
Learn.
All right, and then we have Kay again with 60s Orange Madness.
Well, that was the one I wanted to know about.
Right.
Okay, we have floating person, floating chair here. So we don't have contact shadows. We don't have intermediate shadows, and the shadows you do have don't match what should be happening. The shadow from her, for instance, or from both, actually goes straight from her heel up straight. And there should be a bend there at the wall somewhere, because she's standing on a flat surface, but there's a wall behind her somewhere. There's a seam where that shadow should be going across the floor and then up the wall at a different angle. But look up Photoshop, like Pix Imperfect or Jesus Ramirez. Go to YouTube and look up creating realistic shadows. It's really kind of a 3-part thing. Contact shadow, intermediate shadow, and then the long shadow, the major shadow.
But you also have to establish a wall and a ground on your background before you do anything else. You have to establish that, you know, that sweep or that 90-degree angle.
Exactly.
That has to be established first before you start putting things into it, because otherwise you won't know where to bend the shadows.
Exactly. And I would not use yellow for a pinstripe. It's just too bright. It's pulling things out. And I understand you're working with a 60s kind of theme, but you've got yellow against black, and it's really, really a hard contrast and pulls us away from the image. Her skin tones are awfully gray as well. So watch your color balance.
Okay. Thank you again. That was what
You're
I was
welcome.
really anxious to know about.
It's a great concept. I think it's really fun. It's just that finessing and getting those little things right.
Just a little. Thank you.
Okay, I think there's only 2 more left. So we got Mountain Sentinels. And this is Stephen. I'm not sure if he's there. Stephen Labkoff. Okay, he's been quiet, so. So he just wanted some feedback on this one.
Okay, I felt like it was pretty soft, actually. It didn't look like the foliage was as sharp as it should be in the front there. And
Or
that
the
was
castle.
right, or the castle either. So
I'm noticing it also in the presentation. So I'm wondering if it's a file issue, almost like the file was I don't know if it would have got kicked out by the software, like the file was almost small and then was stretched, because you can also see the softness.
That was my wonder is if maybe this image has too low resolution.
For me, it was a little bit flat. I love the mountains and the color in the background and in the sky, but the foreground is our main subject because it's so big in the frame, and it's just kind of blah, really. Overall, there's not a lot of directional light. It's all in. I understand it's time of day and everything is going to be soft, but I think that's one of those things that you can kind of go in and tweak a little bit through post-processing, add a little highlight, add a little shadow, and give it a little bit more dimension. And I think that would help it a lot.
Absolutely.
Cool. That's great feedback. All right, and last one we have is Photobombed in Nature. Julie, if you're here.
Julie had to go to a Zoom meeting, so she couldn't be.
Oh, she couldn't. Okay.
But I'm her friend, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hopefully you can.
Okay.
That's okay. She can watch the recording.
Oh, great.
But what she wants to know is what to do to take the photo to the next level. That's specifically the feedback she's looking for.
Take the birds out.
Yep.
Birds out.
Well, the title is why the birds are there, and
Change the title.
But change the title and take the birds out.
The birds are out of focus. They're not doing you any good.
They are not doing any favors on this.
And it looks like the moose. I'm assuming that's a moose or an elk.
This is an elk. It's an elk. Yep.
Okay. It looks like the head, especially, is just too sharp edged. It really looks like it's too over sharpened, possibly, or something's going on there. And then the presentation really needs to be from inside the image somewhere, the color, and maybe a bit wider with a pinstripe.
I was wondering about that orange. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
It is not represented in the image anywhere.
She's new at this, so I'll share that with her.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff happening here as well. I think the colors are beautiful. I love the blues and the greens in the sky and in the grass. It's very soft. The grain, I think, is an issue also. It's really grainy, and it was probably shot at a really high ISO because there's not a lot of light out there. But there are ways to take grain out of an image as well and just soften it all. I'm also seeing a lot of sensor spots.
I was just going to say, I see some sensor right next to that bird.
Yep. And so, just getting rid of those, I would start with the grain, because otherwise you might get some weird things happening when you take the sensor spots out. But I think just softening all of that is going to help. That hair on the neck, like Ella was talking about, is so sharp that it almost ends up looking kind of painterly, which sometimes works, but it doesn't necessarily work in this image. One other thing that as an animal photographer, I really noticed, and I don't know if any of you guys did, but because of I love the angle of the neck and the head and showing off those antlers. I think that's really awesome, but it looks like a two-legged elk.
Chopped.
Yeah.
It looks like it was just chopped off.
Yeah. So, if an animal is turned a little bit so you can see all 4 legs, that is going to help so much and just give it really a lot more presence. These are huge animals. and it looks so skinny and so little.
Yeah.
So I think just that angle, like we're just waiting for it to turn and waiting for it to move in order to take that shot. And she might have another shot that has a
She
little bit more
probably
of the
does.
body.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
she does.
And so that might be something that she should look at is just a different angle on the elk.
That's great. That's great feedback.
That is fantastic feedback.
That's
All
great.
right. All right. I think everybody ready to see who won what?
Yeah.
All right, Joyce,
Yes, ma'am.
all yours.
Okay, in the fine arts illustrative commercial, the best is In the Belly of the Beast. And the best non-member was a tie.
Wait.
Sorry.
Who's the maker?
Oh, I didn't write that down.
This is, I believe, Stephen Labkoff.
Nice.
Okay.
I love the title, by the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great title.
Okay,
Absolutely.
there was a tie for best non-member. It was Snaking Through.
And that was Stephen Stuckey.
Yep. As soon as you put it up, I'll move on.
Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
There we go.
Okay, and it tied with Hypnotic Use.
And that was Carolyn Temple.
Yep,
Nice.
Okay.
very nice. Okay, in the fine arts, landscape nature, the best was Goodspeed in the Fall.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
that was Kay Bagwell with a score of 82.
Okay. And then first place was Monarch of the Garden. And I think that was Stephen Labkoff, wasn't it?
I believe so. Hang on. Yes, Stephen Labkoff.
Okay. The best non-member was Contemplation.
Ooh, I love that bird. Whatever that bird is.
That's a heron.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it all blue?
Because they're blue.
I didn't know that.
I feel like there may have been a touch of artwork done to this image.
Yeah.
I am so not a and that's Connie, Constance Sanders. Nice
Yeah.
job, Connie.
Thank you. I know I started painting and I thought, are heron's legs really blue? I photographed that at Lake Murray in South Carolina, and I looked up a whole bunch of herons, and yes, they were blues.
They call them great
Nice.
blue herons for.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Didn't
Although
even
our
think
blue
that.
herons are more gray, but I
It
love
depends
this
on the
one.
light. Yep.
Yep.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. In portrait animals, best is Delilah's Chair. I believe
Nice.
that was Tina Petapelli.
And that's for masters. Yep. That's Tina Petapelletier.
Well, that's the only one in that category.
Okay.
Okay. In artistry, hang on, I'm trying to read what I wrote. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's the best non-member.
Oh my gosh, that's
It's a little
awesome.
pink. It's a little pink guy, yeah.
That's so awesome. And that I think was, yeah, that was Constance, Connie Sanders too.
Wow, she's cleaning up over here, huh?
I love it. That is so cute though.
It is cute.
That's
I like
been through a lot of revisions.
Okay, and last but not least, in wedding is Always Waiting, and that's a best non-member.
That's great.
Beautiful. And that's
Wow.
Karen Duty.
Yep.
Nice. Oh,
Okay.
congratulations, everyone. That was a
Yeah,
great
job. Great job,
competition.
judges, too.
Oh, thank you. I can't even tell you what a fantastic panel. You all, you just all gelled together so nicely. Lisa, thank you for being the jury chair and running it as, it needed to be run, because God knows I needed that help. And
Happy to do it.
thank you. And then anybody else that is wanting to watch the recording of this to hear it, it'll be up within a couple of days, and we'll send a link out to everyone that was here. So Kathleen, thank you. Kathy Broderick and Ella Carlson, my friend all the way from New Mexico. I love it. And of course, Lisa Asp, had to have the homegirl back in the house. I love it.
Love
So
it too.
excited.
Yeah.
Well done,
I'm
Connecticut.
about to stop recording, guys.
Okay, perfect.